Hi guys, Tablet-News.com, and I'm here with the ASUS Vivotab Note 8. This is our very first Windows 8.1 8-inch tablet and one of the first, if not the very first, 8-inch tablet with Windows 8 that we received for testing purposes. Okay, so the Vivotab Note 8 was announced at CES this year, CES 2014, which happened back in January, so it's a pretty fresh product since we're in April right now. The price tag of this model is $330 in USA, and let's get to the design and analyze this model. As you can see, it's a pretty bulky device. It's a massive tablet. Its thickness measures 11 millimeters. It weighs 380 grams, so pretty big one. The grip is pretty nice. We have a soft touch back here with a bit of a rubbery feeling. The bezels of the screen are big, as you can see for yourself, and there is a slight plastic glossy ring all around the tablet. I hope you can see it. I cannot exactly tell what the purpose of this plastic glossy ring is. Maybe for extra grip, maybe to survive random drops, but it's certainly a bit ugly than what we're used to. Okay, so at the top we find the micro USB port used for charging and connectivity, the audio jack, and on the right side we find the on-off button and the volume buttons right here, while on the left we've got the home button and also the micro SD card slot right here. Okay, now in the lower right area you'll see a slight orifice where you can find the stylus slot, where you can find the stylus with Wacom technology, but we'll address that just a little bit later. Okay, on the back side we got a 5 megapixel camera and dual speakers, a bunch at the top and a bunch at the bottom, while at the front we find this frontal camera right above the display. The corners of the device are slightly rounded. As I said, the grip is good, but the overall design is not very pleasing to the eye. It feels a bit antique compared to today's standard, and overall it feels like an older laptop from the 2000s. If you want a comparison. Okay, also I should mention that the screen is very easy to get dirty and greasy even if you don't do anything but touch it. Okay, now to the hardware side. So what we're dealing with here is an 8-inch IPS LCD screen with LED backlight. The resolution is 1280 over 800 pixels, and inside the device we can find an Intel Atom processor, the Intel Atom Z3740, which is basically the Bay Trail quad-core processor, clocked at 1.86 GHz. We also get 2 gigs of LPDDR3 RAM and Intel HD graphics with DirectX 11 support, plus 32 or 64 GB of storage and a micro SD card slot. On the connectivity side, we've got Wi-Fi, we also got Bluetooth 4.0, we got Miracast. Up front there's a 1.2 megapixel camera, and at the back there's a 5 megapixel shooter. We have stereo speakers, G sensor, ambient light sensor, gyroscope and e-compass, all of them available right here. Other stuff for mentioning, well, the battery, it's a 15.5 watt unit, and in our test we achieved 8 hours and 40 minutes of continuous video playback. So let me show you that. We have screenshots, obviously. Okay, so this is the official battery usage of the device, as shown twice by a special command in the command prompt. Here we go. This table shows me the connected standby of the tablet and its usage patterns. As I said, 8 hours and 40 minutes of continuous HD playback, video playback obviously, with Wi-Fi on and brightness of 50%. That's not very impressive compared to the iPads, but it's a bit impressive if you actually compare it to the Nexus 7 2013 or for example to the LG G-Pad 8.3. So at 8 hours and 40 minutes it's past the LG G-Pad and it's past the Nexus 7, beating them by a few dozens of minutes. The charging time is 2 hours and 40 minutes, which I would call okay, and overall this is an okay battery. Now let's check out the audio side of things. So I'm accessing these folders right here. I'm entering my micro SD card slot, my music folder, and let's actually remove the stylus in order to get a more precise grip on the content here. Here we go, this is music, and I'm ready to play some tunes. like this one. Let's turn up the volume. The speakers are right here and here. Okay, you get the picture. Let's do some conclusions. After listening to some tunes on this tablet, I have to say that the speakers give you a warm voice, but also a pretty bad vibration of the back side. The volume is pretty good, the bass is also good, and we have Sonic Master audio technology from Bang & Olufsen. Overall, the speakers are good, as I said, good volume, good amplitude, good bass, warm voice, but the back tends to vibrate quite a bit. Sometimes at maximum volume, the sound may feel like it's shrieking a bit, but you'll get past that, lower the volume, and you'll still get a decent experience out of this device. Now on the video side, let's see what we can find here. We're going to go to the desktop yet again to that folder. Let's hope I can get it right with my hand. Don't need the stylus, and let's use this test video right here. Okay, so this is an 8-inch screen. This is our test video. We'll require the password, but not. Let's go back a bit. Okay, 8-inch IPS LCD screen, resolution 1280 over 800 pixels. It uses RGB stripe pixels. It has good viewing angles, as you can see. Not fantastic for an IPS, just good. Could be a little bit better. This is the maximum brightness, by the way. You cannot go higher than this, and as you can see, it's not a very impressive brightness. The behavior in the sunlight is pretty poor, and the colors are not as vivid as you would like them to be. We also use some special instruments on this screen, and by special instruments we mean a lux meter. Okay, so let's search for some of the pictures we have right here. This is our picture taken with a lux meter. Here we go, 265 lux units achieved by this screen, which is basically 50% of the brightness achieved by the Nexus 7 2014, which is, I should say, a pretty low brightness for this device. This one is a mediocre screen, you have to remember that, not one of the best screens we find on the market. And now on the camera side, we did audio, we did video, time to do some picture taking and all that. You shouldn't also expect good things here. It's a 5 megapixel shooter, but it's below the competition. It's of course below the camera on the iPad mini 1 and below the camera on the Nexus 7 2013. At least the picture taking is reasonably fast. Here we go, zooming in. It may seem that the quality is okay, but there's a lot of noise going on here. One shouldn't expect too much from such a camera. So 5 megapixel shooter. Apparently it has autofocus, it doesn't have a flash, and it has the basic options: video capture, photo capture, and apparently a 360-degree panorama, which is a pretty cute feature to have on a tablet. Also it has a timer right here, exposure options, and that's basically everything you get as far as the option goes on this device. The pics are noisy, the colors are good, but let's let the camera roll do the talking. I'm actually going to go to the camera roll this time. Here we go, camera roll, pictures that I've taken so far. They may seem nice, but if you actually view them on your computer and really zoom in, you'll see that they're grainy and noisy. This is an attempt to create a 360-degree panorama. You have to be patient and let the stitching do the job. Wasn't very happy with it, but you get the idea. At least the feature is available. Okay, and this tablet can do some Full HD video filming at 29 frames per second, and the result is a file with a bitrate of 21 megabytes per second. And strangely enough, the audio is stereo, while the iPad mini and the iPad mini Retina will do mono audio capture. This one does stereo. The stabilization is very poor, but quality is okay. So overall I would say that the video capture is decent, but the overall quality of the images is unimpressive. The colors are good, I give it that much, but the clarity is the main problem of the camera. There's a lot of grainy stuff, a lot of noise, and you probably will not be happy with this camera once you've seen what the iPad mini and the Nexus 7 can do. Back to the desktop, back to the pictures we have right here, or should I say here. This is a thermometer, and this is how the device behaves after some gaming. We achieved 43 degrees Celsius after playing 15 minutes of Asphalt 8, which means the tablet has a tendency to do some overheating. And now we're off to the screenshots area. Here we go, screenshots, and I want to tell you a bit about the benchmarks. First of all, this is a Bay Trail tablet. It's a 4-core device with a 1.86 GHz frequency, and I'm comparing it to the ASUS Transformer Book T100 that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. This one was also a Bay Trail tablet with a 4-core processor and a 1.3 GHz frequency, so the difference of frequency between them is about 0.56 GHz. It's very important to remember that, and it's important to remember that both these tablets have an Intel Atom Z3740, but the frequencies are different. We start off with PC Bench. Let me find it. Here we go. This is the PC Benchmark result, and the T100, the tablet from January or so, had a read speed of 43 megabytes per second and a write speed of 142 megabytes per second. This one has 43 and 114, so the T100 was actually faster when it came to reading on the disk. Okay, so the Note 8 also achieved 695 mega per second in the RAM test, while the T100 beats the 710 mark. Meanwhile, the GPU test is basically the same. Both the T100 and the Note 8 achieve about 630 plus GPU points here in the speed ops section. Okay, so moving forward with the benchmarks, we go to GFX Bench. Here we achieved 15 frames per second in the off-screen test, beating the ASUS Transformer Book T100 and its 14 frames per second, while an iPad 4 scored 19 frames per second if you want a comparison. Moving even further, we got the Ice Storm test from 3D Mark. Let's see Ice Storm Unlimited. In Ice Storm Unlimited, we scored a very impressive 15,366 points. We beat the ASUS Transformer Book T100 by 5,000 points, and we even beat the iPad Air that scored 14,000 points. Next up, there is the connectivity speed. We got 17 mega per second in download. This beats the T100 by 1 mega per second, and we got beaten by the iPad mini Retina that scored 19 mega per second. Then there is a relative benchmark with a score of 1991 here, while the T100 scored 2101, beating us. As you can see, this model takes some benchmarks and other ones it loses when it comes to the battle. We have a hugely impressive score in SunSpider with Internet Explorer 11. We got 401 points, the lower the better. The iPad Air has 420 and the ASUS Transformer Book T100 has 415, so we beat both of them. In Browser Mark 2.0, not a very impressive score, 2777. Meanwhile, the Galaxy Note 3 scores 3000 and the T100 from ASUS scores 2737, so we beat it by only a small margin. Overall, I would say we're doing pretty fine, especially in the graphics area, and we're pretty close to that other Bay Trail model, although our frequency is higher. Okay, so this is Windows 8.1, as you probably figured out. This is an interesting experience to have on a small screen, on an 8-inch screen. You see here the charms on the side, the switch between the apps like this with the swipe, the closing down of the app by swiping down, and the multitasking thingy shown in a minute now. So if I'm in an app, I go like this, I see the list right here, and then I try to snap the apps to use two of them at the same time. This is the snapping part. You can use one app and the other one, or expand it to the full view. That was the snapping for the sake of multitasking. Okay, you just saw the gestures. There's another one right here that takes you to the app section. So not much has changed from Windows 8 to Windows 8.1, and this is the list of apps that we have available. nothing interesting here if you saw other reviews of Windows 8 devices. Since this is Windows 8.1, the start button has returned, taking us to this area, and if you keep it pressed, you should see these options here: programs and features, mobility center, power options, system, device manager, etc. Okay, and now we have reached that section of the review that may actually interest you the most, especially if you're a graphic designer or a student. This is a product for students and graphic designer. I'm talking about the Wacom Stylus. This stylus model can be used at about a height of maximum 20 millimeters. That's the highest detection range of the pointer. If I go higher than 20 millimeters, it doesn't detect it. If I go at about, let's say, 19 millimeters, it's perfect for its detection. I can also hover over text, select a variety of options, and it has great palm rejection. In order to show you that, I'm going to open OneNote. You can scribble around, open up a new page, and what is palm rejection? Well, I lay my palm here and I'm going to write like this, and although my palm is on the screen, you won't find me accidentally writing stuff with my fingers. So this is pretty cool. Okay, you just saw OneNote. Of course, you can also play with Paint and a variety of other apps. Sticky notes, you can draw stuff here, choose another color, choose shapes. Good old Paint. Okay, and sticky notes, yet another app to use this device in. I actually find it easier to type using my fingers. Here, sticky notes, write a note here like get milk. It should stay on the desktop and you can see it later on when we're going shopping. Okay, and you can also take notes on a PDF file if you really want to. If the PDF supports it, you open up the file and then you start to jot stuff on it. We have here the e-manual of the device. Sadly, it will not let us take notes on it, as far as I know. But on some PDFs you can make annotations on the side. Okay, so we also have a button on the stylus. I don't know if you can see it. The button is right here. This is it. And there are some interesting uses for it. It's basically a right-click button. So what I will do here is go straight to Internet Explorer and open up Tablet News. Here we go, and turn the tablet into landscape. Enter an article. Pretty interesting review of Limbo, very nice game that I played recently. And you'll see me hovering above the text. You'll see me selecting stuff. And then I press this button. And you can see the search, share or copy. This is the right-click feature of the device. You can select stuff like this. Then you press the button, tap the screen, and the options appear. So right click all the way. You can also use the stylus to press the smaller options of the screen. If you're in a website with a multiple choice cases, you're going to use it to pinpoint those little options that you never reach with your big fingers. There are over 1000 pressure levels supported by this little stylus, so it's welcome on the device. Since we just play with the Internet Explorer 11, it's a very fast operating system. As you saw earlier, it has excellent benchmark results. It beats every other browser with a huge score in SunSpider. And things you should know about this device is that it has a special connected standby mode. It's a low power mode that lasts for days and allows apps from the Windows Store to stay active and connected during those many days of usage. I should probably mention that this model has a GPS, as far as I know, and that it comes with Microsoft Office Home and Student license in its package. Now I'm going to put back this stylus. And that section of the review where we check out the pre-installed and installed apps has come again. So let's see what we got here. We got a bunch of apps from ASUS. One of them is the ASUS Power Director. Initially I thought it was about the power saving or something like that. It's actually a video editing application that reminds me of iMovie, which is a pretty high compliment. So if I select, for example, this video, I can start editing it. I can do stuff like first select it, obviously, then trim it, delete it, select a new project, add more videos, change the styling, ink splash, memory fill, slideshow, travel map. Then see a preview of it. Select a new starting title, ending title, add some background music, mix the horrible sound, I know, it's the wind these days, it's spring. Mix the music and the background sound to make it more decent sounding, and finally end the production and share the movie. That's the Power Director from ASUS. Since we've edited video, they also offer us the ability to edit photos with the ASUS Photo Director. Okay, so let's go to the editing. You can also frame pics. These are the pictures that I've taken using the device's camera. There is a slight bit of lag here. Select this picture. We can rotate, crop, remove red eyes, I guess. Some skin tools applied here. Some adjusting to do. Temperature, the tint. A lot of options here. I'm pretty happy with this application. Darkness, exposure, contrast, saturation. You can even do some post-processing of the HDR. You even have some effects, artistic, dramatic, black and white, Lomo, vignette, crop, rotate and all that. So we're also happy with this application. Okay, let's see what else there is installed for us. There's the ASUS UCam. It's an app for selfies. You can record yourself with a bunch of cute little effects and options. Then we got the ASUS Web Storage that offers you a ton of storage in the cloud. And then we got the full Bing suite. There is Bing Health, there is Bing Sports, there's an app for cooking, one for health, Bing Maps powered by Nokia. You can see the Nokia logo right here. Some options here, map style and all that, aerial view, directions, my locations, and even your favorites. And then we also installed some software that you can actually use on this device. I'm talking about Sketchbook Pro. It's a heaven sent for this stylus. We've installed the software today and already it can get an update. So we have a bunch of palette options here. I can start drawing, doodling, change the pen mid-stroke, select a new color. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not a very good graphics artist, but some people can achieve impressive results by using software like this. This one is actually the .exe version. This is Sketchbook Pro. I also downloaded the app that you can find in the Windows Store. So there are two versions, Sketchbook Express. This one is more metro oriented. That one was an exe. This is my crazy drawing from earlier. Change the palette, change the pen. I actually like the other app more. It's not for nothing that it's called the Pro version. Okay, so those are the apps you can use to doodle around, make sketches. That was a slight demo. And other things we're mentioning here is that we got SkyDrive. Well, it's OneDrive now. And other than that, we also have Skype pre-installed and the usual collection of Bing applications. Okay guys, end of the review, time for the pros and cons related to the ASUS Vivotab Note 8. On the pro side, obviously the price. It's about 330-340 bucks, which is pretty okay. It has full Windows 8.1 on a small package, which is very good. It has the stylus that I actually liked quite a bit. The battery is pretty good if you compare it to the highest end Android small tablets. The connected standby thing is actually very nice. It's a very nice concept. I hope to see it on more devices. We have good performance, the benchmarks showed us that, and the fact that we can run the likes of Asphalt 8 flawlessly shows the good performance. The CPU is also pretty good. We got bundled Office for student use. And now on the con side, well, the screen gets exaggeratedly dirty. You can see smudges all over it. I've been using it with my fingers. It looks like I've cooked on it. If you look closely, all sorts of smudges and spots out of nowhere. The screen is actually pretty weak. That's on the con side. As I said, more brightness could have been useful, maybe more vivid colors, and maybe even better view angles. The camera is weak, and the design feels a bit antique. The tablet is a bit bulky for its size. So let's give it some grades. I'm going to give this tablet a 7.5 out of 10 for design, and for the hardware I'm going to give it an 8.7. Meanwhile, for the operating system and user interface, I'm giving it a straight 8. The final grade is 8.06 out of 10 for the ASUS Vivotab Note 8. It's still undecided between using a desktop experience or metro experience. That's always the things I complain about. we got desktop, but we're not exactly using it, we don't depend on it very much, and still we got this. For such a small device, the desktop feels very cramped for your fingers, but that's where the stylus comes into play. Okay, so 8.06 out of 10 for this tablet that's actually suited for students and for drawing rather than the average user. This is Tablet-News.com. This is it, 8.06 out of 10 for the Vivotab Note 8. Bye bye.